The Exile Decree. Commander Maya Chen stood at the center of the Galactic Conclave chamber, her posture military straight, despite the crushing gravity settings. Surrounding her in a 360-degree amphitheater sat representatives from the 27 founding species of the Conclave. Their bodies varied wildly. Crystalline structures, gelatinous masses, insectoid carapaces, and everything in between. But their expressions shared a unified sentiment: contempt. The emergency session of the 493rd Galactic Conclave is now addressing the human question, announced High Arbiter Genval, a 12-foot-tall avian whose iridescent feathers rippled with each word. Commander Chen, you have been summoned to receive our unanimous decree. Maya kept her face neutral despite the knot forming in her stomach. 6 months of diplomatic negotiations had led to this moment, though she had suspected from the beginning that the Conclave had already made its decision before the first meeting. The Conclave has determined that humanity poses an existential threat to galactic harmony and stability. Genval continued, voice echoing through the chamber. Your species reproduces at rates deemed excessive and dangerous. Your technological advancement proceeds without proper adherence to the 10,000-year plan. Your cultural contamination has begun affecting even our most steadfast member species. A Nexian representative, body composed of interlocking geometric shapes, floated forward. Most concerning is your genetic adaptability. Our projections indicate human populations would comprise 30% of core worlds within just 2 centuries, a biological invasion through reproductive means. Maya fought back a retort. Humanity's birth rates had been declining for centuries. The real issue was human resilience and innovation. Therefore, Genval's voice dropped an octave. By unanimous decree, all human populations are hereby excised from conclave space. Your species is to relocate to the fringe sectors beyond the quantum barrier. Any human found in conclave territory after 1 standard year will be subject to immediate neutralization. The fringe. The chaotic, lawless regions where the conclave's influence didn't reach, where pirate armadas, exiled criminals, and failed evolutionary branches fought over scraps. It was a death sentence dressed as mercy. High Arbiter, Maya finally spoke, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Earth alone has 9 billion inhabitants. Our colonies hold another 11 billion. You're asking us to relocate 20 billion people in a single year. Your logistical challenges are not our concern, replied a gelatinous entity from the 3rd tier. Perhaps if you had respected our population protocols over the past century, this would not be necessary. Maya's hands clenched at her sides. The Conclave granted humanity full membership rights 63 years ago. We have contributed more medical innovations in that time then. The decision is final. Genval interrupted. This session is concluded. One by one, the representatives vanished from their platforms, some physically departing while others simply deactivated their projection matrices. Soon Maya stood alone in the vast chamber. Well, came a voice from her communicator. That went about as expected. Maya touched her earpiece. Were you listening in, Elias? The whole science directorate was, replied Elias Reeves, Earth's leading quantum physicist and Maya's closest friend. They're really going through with it. Exiling the entire human race. Not exiling, Maya corrected as she strode toward the exit. Executing just slowly enough to claim moral superiority. Nobody survives in the fringe. About that, Elias's tone shifted to what Maya recognized as his "I have an idea" voice. What if we did? The news of humanity's exile broke across Earth and her colonies like a tsunami. Panic, outrage, despair. But as Maya addressed the United Earth Council from the Geneva complex, she was surprised by what followed. Determination. The Conclave believes they've sentenced us to death, she concluded her address. Let's prove them wrong. The largest migration in human history began. Every shipyard repurposed for evacuation vessels. Every factory converted to produce survival equipment. Scientists worked around the clock to develop technologies to survive the harsh fringe environments. Elias Reeves led the technological revolution from his laboratory beneath the Olympus Mons colony on Mars. The Conclave has always restricted our quantum research, he explained during a global briefing. They claim it's for safety, but I believe they recognize the potential. In the Fringe, we won't be bound by their limitations. His team developed the adaptive quantum shield, technology the Conclave had explicitly forbidden, capable of protecting ships against the volatile energy storms common in the Fringe. Meanwhile, biological enhancement programs accelerated human adaptability to radiation and extreme environments. 9 months into the evacuation, Maya found herself aboard the flagship Earthrise, leading the first wave of 5 million colonists toward the quantum barrier that separated Conclave space from the Fringe. Hundreds of massive colony ships followed in precise formation. Barrier approach in 5 minutes, announced Navigator Imani Jackson. Conclave monitor ships are taking position to observe. Maya nodded. They want to watch us die. Or run back begging for mercy, added Security Chief Darius Lee, checking weapon systems that were officially listed as environmental manipulation tools. The Conclave had prohibited the evacuation fleet from carrying military hardware. Either way, they'll be disappointed, Maya said as she activated the ship-wide communication system. All vessels, this is Commander Chen. Activate adaptive quantum shields on my mark. Elias's voice came through her private channel. Engineering teams report ready. We've never tested these shields at full scale, Maya. No time like an extinction-level event for a proper field test, she replied with a grim smile. Mark. Across the fleet, the revolutionary shields flickered to life, invisible to standard sensors, but creating a protective bubble that, in theory, would allow them to navigate the chaotic energies of the barrier. Barrier in 30 seconds, called Navigator Jackson. Maya took a deep breath. Steady approach. All ships maintain formation. The view screen filled with swirling colors as they reached the edge of the barrier. Violent storm fronts of quantum energies that had claimed countless exploration vessels over the centuries. This was why the Fringe remained largely unexplored by the Conclave. Their rigid technological framework couldn't overcome this natural boundary. Shields holding at 93%, reported Elias from engineering. Better than simulations. The Earthrise shuddered as it pushed deeper into the barrier. Alarms blared as external sensors failed one by one. Navigation is degrading, Jackson called out. Quantum interference exceeding predicted levels. Switch to secondary guidance systems, Maya ordered. Elias's gravitational mapping should get us through. For 17 agonizing minutes, the fleet pushed through the barrier, each ship fighting against forces that defied conventional physics. Then, suddenly, clarity, the view screen cleared to reveal unfamiliar star patterns. We've cleared the barrier, Jackson confirmed, her voice filled with disbelief and triumph. All colony ships reporting successful transition. We've done it, Commander. The celebration was short-lived. Proximity alarms sounded across the bridge. Multiple vessels approaching, announced Chief Lee. Designs unknown. Weapons active. On the view screen, a dozen ships appeared, cobbled together from salvaged parts, bristling with makeshift weapons. Their hulls bore the scars of countless battles. Fringe pirates, Maya realized. They're hunting for new arrivals. They're hailing us, reported Communications Officer Park. Maya nodded. On screen, a scared humanoid figure appeared, species indeterminate beneath cybernetic implants and radiation burns. Fresh meat from Conclave space, the figure growled. Surrender your ships and cargo. Survivors may earn the privilege of serving the Scorch Collective. Maya stood from her command chair. This is Commander Maya Chen of Earth. We are 20 billion refugees exiled by the Conclave. We seek no conflict, but we will defend ourselves. The pirate captain laughed, a harsh, mechanical sound. 20 billion. Impossible. The barrier destroys all large-scale crossings. Check your sensors again, Maya suggested calmly. As if on cue, the remainder of the first wave fleet emerged from the barrier. hundreds of massive ships carrying the future of humanity. The pirate's expression shifted from amusement to shock. "How did you?" "The same innovation that got us exiled," Maya replied. "Now you have a choice. Attack us and be destroyed, or help us establish our new home in the Fringe. We have technologies the Conclave has suppressed for centuries. We can offer trades beneficial to both our peoples." The communication cut abruptly. The pirate vessels maintained position, weapons still trained on the Earthrise. "They're discussing their options," Chiefly observed. "Should we prepare to engage?" Maya shook her head. "No. If we start our new life with bloodshed, we're playing into the Conclave's narrative about us." She turned to communications. "Broadcast on all frequencies. I want every faction in the Fringe to hear this." Officer Park nodded, opening all channels. "To all inhabitants of the region you call the Fringe," Maya began. "I am Commander Maya Chen of Earth. Humanity has been exiled from Conclave space because we refuse to limit our potential. We bring 20 billion people, advanced technology, and a proposal. Help us establish our new home, and we will help you build a civilization here that will one day rival the Conclave itself. Not through conquest, but through cooperation and innovation." Maya paused, watching as more ships appeared on long-range sensors. Curious observers drawn by the unprecedented event of an entire species entering the Fringe. "The Conclave fears us because we adapt, because we innovate, because we thrive where others stagnate. They exiled us hoping we would die. Instead, we will build something new, something better. The age of cowering before the Conclave ends today." As she finished speaking, the pirate vessels powered down their weapons. The first tentative step toward humanity's new future had begun. Rise of the Fringe Lords. 5 years passed in the harsh reality of the Fringe, where once had been only scattered settlements and pirate outposts. A network of human colonies now spanned 7 star systems. New Alexandria, the largest settlement and de facto capital, had grown from a collection of prefabricated shelters into a sprawling metropolis of nearly 10 million inhabitants. Maya Chen, now Admiral of the Fringe Defense Force, stood before the holographic display in the command center. The 3-dimensional map showed not only human settlements but also the territories of a dozen other Fringe factions, some allies, others hostile, most still undecided. "The Scorch Collective has increased patrols along the Veil Nebula," reported Strategic Director Lee, the former security chief who now coordinated intelligence gathering. "They're nervous about our expansion into the Kargan system." "With good reason," replied Elias, now head of the Science Directorate and architect of humanity's technological revolution. "Our quantum excavators will be operational within the month. Once we access the thorium deposits there, our energy production will triple." Maya studied the highlighted region. "The Kargans have suffered under Scorch occupation for decades. They'll welcome our assistance in pushing the collective back." "If we succeed," cautioned Counselor Imani Jackson, "the collective still outnumbers our military vessels 4-1. "Numbers aren't everything," Maya replied with a hint of a smile. "Especially not when fighting humans." 5 years in the Fringe had changed humanity. Forced to adapt to environments the Conclave had deemed uninhabitable, exposed to radiation levels and gravitational stresses that would have killed their ancestors, humans had embraced genetic modification and cybernetic enhancement. Technologies forbidden under Conclave law flourished. Children born in the Fringe grew taller, stronger, and with neural pathways optimized for the chaotic quantum energies that permeated the region. "Admiral," a communication officer interrupted, "we've received a message from the Vectal Alliance. Their council has accepted our proposal." This was the news Maya had been waiting for. The Vectals, a species of silicon-based sentients who had flooded Conclave space centuries ago, controlled the crucial hyperspace routes between human territory and the Kargan system. "Excellent. Schedule a meeting with their representatives." She turned back to the strategic map. "With the Vectals on our side, we can finally move against the Scorch Collective." "It's more than just strategic," Elias added. The Vectals possess crystalline technology that could revolutionize our quantum communication networks. Maya nodded. Each alliance makes us stronger. The Conclave exile us individually, but we're building something collectively. The Kargan Liberation Campaign began 3 weeks later. Human warships, outfitted with technology that blended Vectal crystalline matrices with Elias's quantum innovations, struck simultaneously at 12 scorched collective outposts. The Battle of Kargan Prime became the stuff of legend across the Fringe. Outnumbered 3-1, human forces utilized tactical innovations that left the collective reeling. Quantum phase torpedoes, designed by Elias's team, bypassed conventional shields. Vectal crystal arrays redirected energy weapons back at their sources. Most devastating were the Wraith squadrons, pilots neurally linked to their vessels, able to predict and counter enemy movements with inhuman precision. From the bridge of her flagship Prometheus, Maya coordinated the assault. Wraith Squadron, execute maneuver Hyperion. Cruiser Division, prepare for phase shift on my mark. The human ships moved in perfect coordination, executing tactics that would have been impossible under Conclave restrictions. The neural interfaces, technology deemed too dangerous by Conclave standards, allowed pilots to react at the speed of thought. Collective flagship is attempting to retreat, reported Tactical Officer Chen. Their remaining forces are in disarray. No pursuit, Maya ordered. We're liberators, not conquerors. She opened a channel to the Kargan resistance. Kargan Command, the orbital platforms are secure. You may begin your ground offensive. The liberation of Kargan became a turning point. News spread quickly through the fractured communities of the Fringe. Humans had defeated the Scorch Collective, the dominant power for over a century, in direct combat. More importantly, they had immediately transferred control of the liberated territories to the Kargans, rather than establishing their own dominance. Within months, delegations from dozens of Fringe species arrived at New Alexandria. Some sought military alliances, others technological exchanges, and a few simply wished to observe the species that had accomplished in 5 years what others had failed to achieve in generations. The Human Federation of the Fringe, Maya announced to the assembled delegates. Representatives from 17 species gathered in the Grand Assembly of New Alexandria. That is what we propose. Not an empire, not a dominion, but a federation of equals. Each species autonomous in their internal affairs, united in defense and technological development. Elias stood at her side, along with the leaders of the various human settlements. For too long, the Conclave has monopolized scientific advancement, restricting technologies they deemed destabilizing to their carefully controlled order. In the Federation, innovation will be our foundation. The Vectal Prime consciousness floated forward, crystalline structure reflecting the chamber's lights. Your proposal has merit, but many here fear this is merely the first step toward human domination. You now control the largest military force in the Fringe. A valid concern, Maya acknowledged, which is why the Federation Charter includes the separation protocol. Military command will rotate among member species. No single race may control the defense forces for more than 5 years consecutively. Discussions continued for weeks. Debates raged over resource allocation, governance structures, and territorial boundaries. But the shared experience of exile, most Fringe species had either fled or been expelled from Conclave space, created a foundation of common understanding. On the final day of negotiations, as the last protocols were being finalized, an alert sounded throughout New Alexandria. Multiple vessels have crossed the barrier, announced the defense network. Conclave diplomatic configurations. The assembly erupted in concerned murmurs. Maya raised a hand for silence. It seems our former masters are curious about what we've built. She smiled thinly. Let's show them. 3 Conclave vessels entered orbit around New Alexandria, their sleek designs contrasting sharply with the pragmatic, modular architecture of Fringe ships. Permission to land was granted for a single diplomatic shuttle. Maya, Elias, and representatives from the newly formed Federation Council gathered in the reception hall. The massive doors opened to reveal High Arbiter Genval, flanked by assistants from various conclave species. Commander Chen, the avian dignitary, began. Admiral Chen, Maya corrected calmly. Though soon it will be simply Counselor Chen, as my term as military commander ends with the formation of the Federation. Genval's feathers rippled in what Maya had learned was an expression of surprise. Federation. We had detected unusual activity and alliance formations. The Conclave sent us to investigate what remains of human civilization. Remains. Elias stepped forward. High Arbiter, in 5 years we've established 17 major settlements across 7 star systems. Our population has grown to 22 billion. Our technology has advanced beyond Conclave restrictions in ways you can barely comprehend. Impossible, stated one of the Conclave assistants. Our models predicted 90% population loss within the first year. Your models failed to account for human adaptability, Maya replied. The very quality that led you to exile us has ensured our survival. And not just survival, prosperity. Genval's posture stiffened. We come with a proposal. The Conclave has reconsidered its position. Selected human populations may return to Conclave space, under appropriate oversight and restricted to designated worlds. A murmur ran through the Federation representatives. Maya exchanged glances with Elias, who barely suppressed a smile. High Arbiter, Maya said carefully, your offer comes 5 years too late. We have built new homes here. We have formed alliances with species the Conclave abandoned centuries ago. The Human Federation of the Fringe now encompasses territories larger than the combined border regions of the Conclave. She gestured to the diverse group of representatives. We thank you for the exile. It forced us to overcome our limitations, to innovate beyond your restrictions, and to build something the Conclave could never create. A true alliance of equals. Genval's assistants conferred in hurried tones. The High Arbiter's feathers lay flat against his body, a sign of alarm or distress. You reject Conclave protection? He finally asked. We reject Conclave control, Maya corrected. But we are open to establishing diplomatic relations between our Federation and the Conclave. As equals. The Conclave does not recognize your Federation, Genval stated, though with less conviction than before. Elias stepped forward. With respect, High Arbiter, recognition is unnecessary. Reality exists whether the Conclave acknowledges it or not. The Federation is here. It is growing. And unlike the Conclave, we welcome innovation rather than fear it. Maya extended her hand in the human gesture of agreement. Return to the Conclave with our response. We will establish an embassy in Conclave space to facilitate peaceful relations. We have no desire for conflict. But understand this, the species you exiled has not only survived but thrived. And we will never again accept limitations imposed by fear. Genval regarded Maya's outstretched hand with apparent confusion before reluctantly extending his own wing-like appendage. I will convey your message. As the Conclave delegation departed, Maya turned to the assembled Federation representatives. And so begins a new chapter. Not just for humanity, but for all who have been cast aside by the Conclave's rigid vision. Elias smiled. They exiled us to die. Instead, we've become the foundation of something that may one day surpass the Conclave itself. Maya looked out through the transparent dome of the assembly hall, where the stars of the Fringe, once a symbol of their punishment, now represented unlimited possibility. In exiling us, she said quietly, they freed us. Let's make sure it remains the greatest mistake the Conclave ever made.